Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to set up my CheersBot overlay and walk through a few of the features that will allow your channel to do. So, first off, I'm going to demonstrate some features on my own channel, just so you can get a feel for what the overlay has to offer. So for example, you can have a win-loss tracker that will let you keep track of whenever you have a win or a loss. If you're like playing a game, for example. So you can do it by either directly through the control panel, adding wins, losses, draws, or you can do it through chat commands. So for example, if I type !draw here, it added one draw to the counter. Or I can click this +1 here to add wins, or -1 to remove them. Or I can do reset to clear them all, set them back to 0 if I'm playing a new game. You'll notice that the emote that it displays changes based on whether you're winning or losing, and that's configurable. The other big thing is mode cues, which are the timers that you might see on other channels with this overlay setup. So if they're configured properly, then whenever someone redeems a channel point redeem you've configured, then it'll add a mode to the queue. You can see I have this SAG mode. So let's say hypothetically someone redeemed it. It'll show up here in the mode queue. And I can set how long of a timer to run. Start the timer. So this will let me keep track of all of them that have been redeemed. Let me visualize which ones are on screen or not. If you wanted to make it go away, you can just click the X. Otherwise, you can start a timer for it. So this would be like it's neon time for 10 minutes or whatever. That would be what this mode queue feature is for. So it's really useful for anything where you have a timer or you want to have something pop up on screen whenever someone redeems something. You don't have to use the timer feature. You could just delete it whenever it gets redeemed. I'll just give a few more seconds while the timer is running. Oh, and you can always turn off the win-loss display by just toggling that. There it goes. It'll show the timer counting down. Now it's done. Notice the text changes to say that the timer is over, and you can just click stop alarm here to stop the annoying beeping. And then you can delete the mode once you're done with it, and it leaves the queue. Recently, I also added this VOD queue feature, which is basically if you're like an Overwatch streamer or just a general streamer that does VOD reviews, people can redeem a channel point redemption that you configure, and it will keep track of when it was redeemed, so you can compare that against the patch notes to know if it's expired or not, if it's like a replay code or something that's tied to a specific patch number. There's also this custom messages feature, which is another recent addition, that will allow you to add messages to the top left that can be whatever you want. So instead of it being tied to a channel point redemption, you can just add them. So for example, I just added a test message. I may go away by just clicking delete message or toggling the visibility. So yeah, those are the main features that this has to offer. I've got a couple others vaguely in development, and some features that are only for Girl DM at this point in time. But if there's anything here that you would like added, just let me know. I am always happy to work on it, but I never really know what to work on. So just shoot me a message if you have an idea, or if there's something here that you feel needs to be tweaked or improved, and I will be more than happy to work on it. So yeah, let's go ahead and work on setting this up for a new channel. So I went ahead and created a fresh one, so we'll just walk through the steps. So you'll I should say first you'll come here to cheers.hawk.bar. This is the main home page for the site. As you can see, we're not currently logged in, so we don't see anything. You might see this What's New pop-up. This will show you all the new features that have been added since you've last visited the page. But that shouldn't come up too often. You can just X out of it. Yeah, so we'll connect our Twitch user account. So let me explain really quickly. There are 3 types of accounts in the Cheers bot. There are user accounts, channel accounts, and bot accounts. User accounts are what you use to actually access your control panel and drive your stream, as it were. Channel accounts, the channel accounts, are the actual accounts that are tied to your channel and have an overlay. And bot accounts are the accounts that are allowed to post messages in your channel. So you typically will want both a user account and a channel account using your same Twitch account. That way you have an overlay, but you can also access the overlay in the control panel. So we'll start by adding a user account. So you'll come here, it says you need to connect your Twitch account. So this is just going to pop up a request asking you to authorize your account with CheersBot. So it's just asking for permission, mostly just for a user account, it's only asking for your email address. And that's not used to send you any emails. That is just to verify that you are in fact logged in as that Twitch user. That makes sure that no one can randomly go in and mess with your overlay or your channel. So I just go ahead and click authorize, and it'll say successfully logged in. And now the home page looks a little bit different. It says these are all the control panels you have access to. Well, we don't have any we have access to yet. But for example, if you were a moderator on a different channel, you could be given access to their control panel. So your user account can access multiple channels. But right now, obviously, we don't have access to any of them. So let's go ahead and create our own channel account as well. It's the exact same process. You need to connect your Twitch account and give permissions. There's a few more permissions with the channel account because it has to be able to perform various actions. So it does have moderator actions. It, by default, will not ban timeout anyone, but it does need access to the moderation queue to know when people are banned. It uses that to track whether it needs to remove channel point redemptions. There's also a banning feature that I'm working on that will require it to know when people are unbanned so it can update the message dynamically. It needs access to channel point rewards and the redemptions. That one's really important because almost all of the features trigger off of channel point redemptions. So you need to give that access. It also gets a list of all the subscribers in your channel and checks for subscriptions. That is used for some filtering services. For example, the user queue feature, which allows people to enter into raffles, which is still in early development. That will require it to know who your subscribers are. And view your general moderation data, bans, timeouts, auto mod settings. It just uses that to know when people are banned or unbanned. It's not doing anything shady, I promise. So yeah, if all that sounds reasonable, you can authorize the app. And now you can see that we finally have something up here in the control panel section. So now we have something with the same channel name as our user. So you can click on here to enter your control panel. Also, you can see down here that we have permissions to access this channel. We've authorized the channel to be able to access our user and vice versa. So theoretically, if someone added you a control panel and you didn't like that, you could go in here and change it to denied if you didn't want them to have access to your user account. So here's our control panel. Currently, it's very bare bones. The first thing you're going to want to do is set up your overlay. So this right here, this box will give you the URL that you need to use for a browser source in OBS. Yep, so we're just going to go ahead and copy this and bring it into OBS. I'm going to use Streamlabs OBS, but regular OBS works just as well. So I can come in here and I can add a browser source. And I'm just going to paste in that URL, and I'm going to set a reasonable size. I want it to go for the entirety of the entire height of my page, but you could put in whatever size, it doesn't matter. Click done. Oh. So that should allow the overlay to show up on your channel. And you should be able to verify that in OBS. So now we're going to go ahead and set up the features we need. So head paths and evil DM, those are girl DM only. But we know we're going to need a mode queue because that's the most useful one. So we'll go ahead and set that up. So we've enabled this by going to the Configurations tab, which is for setting up all of your modules on your channel. And then we went to Mode Queue and enabled it. Now we're going to add a new mode. So this redeem name, or reward name, this needs to be the exact name that is shown on your channel. So for example, if I go to Girl DM's channel, you can see here she has all of her channel point redemptions. So like this this name right up here, this needs to be the thing that you put in the configuration, and it needs to be an exact match. But let's say this is some, test redeem. You can select the emote that will show up in the top left corner when the mode is redeemed. And it will pull all of your channel emotes, all of your Better Twitch TV emotes, all of your Frankerface Z emotes, and all of the global Twitch emotes. So right now this channel doesn't have any emotes yet, so we'll just pick a default one. Let's say Kappa or Kekona. That's a good one. By default, all this text is filled in. You should obviously probably change it to match whatever your redemption is. But for now, I'll leave it at the default. You'll see you can use these placeholders in square brackets, minutes and minutes left, to show how many minutes are remaining. And minutes will show minute or minutes depending on if it's 1 or 0 minutes remaining, just a pluralization thing. So you can use those placeholders to make sure this text updates in real time with the number of minutes remaining if you want that. And if you don't, you can clear it out. And there's the end text for when the timer runs out. And you can set the default timer duration. So when this was redeemed and you test it, I want the timer to run for, let's say, 2 minutes. Cool, and it's set up, but if we want to test it, we can click on this test mode button, and you'll see the redemption pops up in the top left corner. If we go back from the configuration tab to the control panel tab, you can see that the mode was queued up, this test mode, redeemed by Anonymous. Shows the name of the redemption that was redeemed, the time that it was redeemed, the username, and this shows how long we want the timer to run for. It defaults to the value on the other tab, but you can configure it to whatever you want it to be. So we're going to go ahead and start that while we do other things. So that's the mode queue module. There's also the win-loss record module. So we'll go ahead and turn that on. So this is the same thing, allows you to track wins, losses, deaths. Yeah, so generally useful if you're a gaming streamer. You can select which emotes you want for when you're winning, losing, tied, or whenever you die. And these can be whatever. Doesn't really matter, but I guess use emotes that are appropriate for your channel. So once that's turned on, you'll have your win-loss record here in the control panel tab. You can toggle it to display or not display. And then you can control it by adding wins and losses, adding deaths. If you do a death, it pops up as a separate counter in the overlay. So it's a little bit different from wins, losses, and draws. Yeah. You can also use the chat commands that are here next to the text. So exclamation mark, win, loss, draw, death. And if you have other overlays, or not overlays, other like bots like Streamlabs or Nightbot that use that command prefix, the exclamation mark, you can configure that right here in the user and channel module. So you could change this to be like a, I don't know, like a slash or a colon or a question mark, whatever you need to do to make sure it doesn't conflict with other bots, if that is a problem with your channel. Most of the other features are still in pre-alpha. Let me know if there's any you're interested in, and I'll keep working on them. I'm kind of at a standstill on most of them. VOD is right here. So it's mostly designed for Overwatch, but you can use it generically. And custom messages I demonstrated earlier, but that lets you set up messages on the front end. You don't need to worry about debug. That's mostly for me to make sure everything's working properly. The other big thing you can customize here is this accent color and muted color. So you'll see in the overlay here, the win-loss counter there is blue. Anytime you have like a username or account, it'll be shown in that bold blue text. You can change that color here. So for example, if my channel has a very pink vibe, I can change that there. And then you want to choose a darker color for the muted color option. You can see that color also gets used here for the control panel. And you can see the text up there changes. So yeah. Looks like this timer's done. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And yeah. So that's basically how you set all this up. Please let me know if you have any questions. Just message me on Twitter or Discord, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you have fun using my overlay.